Hello everyone, my name is Slim and you're welcome back to my YouTube channel. Yeah, for today, I'm actually going to be showing how I made this flyer. Yeah, it's for the reopening party for a restaurant. The name of the restaurant is Food and Vibes. Yeah, great food, great ambience, great staffs. So the theme of the party is the Owambe party. Yeah, that was the brief, the theme the client gave to me. So I went online and I carried out my research and I discovered that there were a lot of beautiful designs where they incorporated like African and tribal patterns to give the design this African feel. So I didn't want to go in that direction as well. I wanted to do something, a little bit different. So I decided to just play with the font, like the Owambe party. Like I make that the center of attraction, that font, the theme, the Owambe party. So I decided to use an African font and a tribal font for that to give it the African vibe and all. So without talking too much, let's just go right into Photoshop and I show how I came about that design. Yes, so let's just open up Photoshop and create a new document. So for today, we are going to be working with Instagram portrait size. I'm sure this is on pixels. The width will be 1080 and the height will be 1350. We can put the resolution on 300, just in case they want to print. I'm not sure. So always ensure that this artboard is turned on because I love working with artboards. If you want to know why, you can check our previous video. The last video we shot. I'm going to be attaching the link. You can go ahead and watch that to know why I love to work with artboards. So let's quickly rename this to Owambe. Yeah. So yes, color mode, RGB, 8-bit, white, and all of that. Click on create, and we have this. So first thing I want to do is rename our artboard to Owambe. Yep. So while I was online looking for inspirations and all of that, I came across this design that I really loved. I love the vegetable, some of the PNGs that they used, some of the resources that they used on the design. And glory to God, I discovered that it was actually a template. So I'm just going to be bringing in that template. And we are going to be using resources from that template to create our own design. Yes, this is it. So these vegetables, these onions, pepper, and all, I really loved the way they used it on these designs. Then these flames and the background. So we are going to be using those elements to create our own design. We are going to be removing all of this that we do not need. Contact details, we don't need that. We don't need this. So first thing we need here is the background, which is this wooden texture here. So we are going to duplicate this wooden background into our own document. So there are two ways you can do that. You can easily just right click here, come to duplicate layer. It's going to bring up this dialog box. Then you select the document where you want to duplicate this wooden texture into. So we select Owambe and click on OK. So what Photoshop will do is it automatically is going to create a copy of this wooden background here. It's going to create a copy in our own document, as you can see here. Another way you can duplicate this is by simply clicking and dragging it into the document. This is it here. As you can see, we have two here, two copies. So whichever one works for you is fine. So now we have our background. Let's convert this to smart objects. We have our background easily. Next thing I want to do is bring in the logo of the brand because that is where we are going to be picking our colors from. This is the logo of the brand. Food and Vibes. So we're just going to place this somewhere here. Don't want it to be too distracting, so somewhere here is fine. Okay, next thing we want to do is create our text. The text of our Owambe. So we are going to change the font. Now, earlier on I said I wanted to use an African font. a font that has some form of African vibe to it, traditional vibe to it. So I came across this font called Woodcrafts. Oh, no matches found. Okay, okay, this is it here, Woodcraft. So is it all caps? No, maybe all caps. No, this is fine. Centralize this in the middle. Control T to activate our tree transform tool to increase the size, and there you have it. So you can see that it has this African earthly, vibe to it, and I really love the font. So let's adjust the spacing in between the letters, so it's a little bit tight. Yeah, okay, this is nice, this is fine. So we'll make a copy of this by simply pressing Ctrl J on our keyboard or holding down the Alt key on our keyboard, and we click and drag. Once you click and you drag, it's going to make a duplicate. So we'll double click here and write party. So we'll align this to the center and bring this under this. So that is fine. Then we also have one more text in the header. Ctrl J, reopening. Yeah. So we'll change this to a script font. I think Amsterdam, to add some form of variety so that everything is not just looking the same and boring. So yes, reopening. Align this in the center as well. Ctrl T to activate free transform. Then increase the size like that. Let's take this up a little bit. So let me just open this up so that I'll have like a preference. Okay. So now we are going to be picking the colors. This Owambe and this party, we are going to be using this yellow. Let's just zoom in. We're going to be picking this yellow from the brand here as the color. Yeah. Let's zoom out. So that is nice. For this reopening, we can see that it looks like it's floating somehow, and it's not looking right. There's just something wrong with it. So we are going to create a drop down shadow. Now we are not going to be using the normal this drop down shadow that you have here. We are just going to be doing something easier. We'll make a copy, Ctrl J, and we'll change the color to black. Then we'll use the arrow keys to just move it downwards. You can see somewhere here is fine. Just to create that shadow effect, like it's resting on the Owambe and the party. So that is that about that. Next, if you check the original, you would see that there's some form of effect on the text. Like there's this highlight and shadow feeling to the text. So that is called bevel and emboss. It's an effect called bevel and emboss, as you can see here. So we'll select that. It's going to bring up this dialog box here. So now, if this is your first time of using bevel and emboss, this is what you're going to see. This is like the default settings there. So we are just going to play around these settings to achieve our desired result till we get what we want. So what we are going to do first of all is remove this from use global light first of all, so that we can change the direction of the lights and all of that. If we increase the opacity, can we see what's happening on the O1 there? It's giving it this shadow vibe to it. So first of all, we are going to change the color from black to maybe red or something close to that yellow, maybe orange. Yeah, this is fine. Then we'll change this gloss contour. We'll change it. This is the one I used, I think. I think it was this. Yeah, this is it. Yeah, this is it. So now we are going to reduce the opacity a little bit, increase the size, just play with it. Then we change this highlight mode from screen to overlay. Yeah, so that white, now let me put it back to screen to see the before and after. You can see that it has this white, let me zoom in, has this white feeling to it, but we don't want that white there, so we change it to overlay. So it will have more of a yellow feel to it. So you can just play around with the settings anyhow you want it. So I think this is cool. It has this balloon 3D effect. So that's fine. Click on OK. So now there's no need for you to now start stressing yourself to do the same thing to this party. You can easily copy these settings on this O1B and paste it on this party. There are two ways of doing that. You can either use the Alt key, hold down the Alt key on your keyboard, then you click on this effect and drag it to the party layer. See, automatically it's going to duplicate that effect there. Or you right click on the effect, go to copy layer style, go to the party layer, right click, and click on paste layer style. So it's the same thing, whichever one works for you. So we are going to select all our layers together and group them by pressing Ctrl G on our keyboard. We'll rename this to header. It's always good to rename your layers so that you don't get confused over time. So that is it. We already have our header. So the next we want to do is to bring in pictures of the food. Pictures of the food. So let me just search for it. Okay, I think this is it. I'm just bring it in. Yeah, there you have it. So select both of them, Ctrl T to bring up the free transform tool so we can resize it somewhere here. You can see the design is coming together already. Like it's a very simple design. So let's just place this here. Place this. Now we want to flip this. Like we want to bring this right part of the image to the right and put this, whatever this is, to the left. So to do that, you press Ctrl T on your keyboard to activate the free transform tool. You right click and you go to flip horizontal. So what flip horizontal will do is going to flip whatever is on the right to the left and whatever is on the left to the right. Flip vertical will flip it from top to bottom, you get. So we'll click on flip horizontal. Yeah, that is it. So let me just look at the original so that's ensure that I'm doing the right thing. Okay. So we are going to reduce the size of, I think this is looking big in a weird way. I think this is nice. Yeah, this is nice. So we'll group two of them and rename them to pictures. Pardon my spelling of pictures. Align them to the center. Yeah, there you have it. So for this now, we are going to create, as it looks like the food is floating, like the plates are floating, which makes no sense. So what we are going to do is create an artificial shadow to them. So what we'll do is create a new layer. We come here, this plus sign here, click on it. It's going to create a blank new layer. Then we'll click on B on our keyboard to activate the brush tool. We'll right click. Now we're going to mesh with our brush settings. We're going to reduce it, squash it this way. Squash it this way. And ensure that the hardness is on 0. Yeah. So you can see, this is how it was before, like a perfect circle, but when we squash it, you see. So now what we are going to do is increase the size of the brush. We'll ensure that this foreground color is on black. I mean, most shadows are black. So we'll now click here. And we see, just click once. Once is enough, I think. Just to create that shadow under the plates. Can we see? It has given that shadow effect. Let's convert this to smart objects. Now that is not enough. We are also going to apply shadows on this plate, this white plate here, to make it look a little bit more realistic. So which one is the white plate? This. That's why it's always good to rename your layers. I didn't have renamed this now. So we would come here to our adjustment layers and add an exposure adjustment to it. We'll clip the exposure adjustment to that white plate alone. Now, if you don't do that and we change the settings, can we see it's affecting the whole document or everything that is under the adjustment layer? And we do not want that. So we'll clip it to the plates, the white plate alone. So can we see it's affecting only the plate, the white plate layer. So I think this is nice, dark enough. So we'll invert the matte by pressing Ctrl I. So once we do that now, we'll zoom in. We want to add a shadow to the bottom part of this plate. You know, if a plate is on the floor, like the bottom part will be dark. So we'll adjust our brush back to the original settings. Increase it a little bit. Then we'll paint. We'll make sure our foreground color is on white. We just paint softly. Let's reduce this. We'll paint softly. Can you see? Just to create some form of shadow that, okay, you can reduce the opacity a little bit. This plate is not floating, oh, you get. So add some form of realism to it. You see that looks better automatically, like it looks believable compared to before. So this is what it looked like without both shadows. Can you see? It looks like it's floating. So this is what it looks like with both shadows. So now we don't need to do it for this plate because it's black already. It's not really going to show. So there will be little to no difference. Yeah, so this is nice. This is nice. This is nice. This is nice. So I think that is that for the food. We are done with the food images. So next thing we want to do now is to bring in these vegetables that I really love. So we are going to use the duplicating method I taught us earlier. So right click on the vegetable group, go to duplicate, select Owambe as the destination document. Click on OK. You can see it has brought them in. So we are just going to adjust few things to, to what we like. Just these onions here. Just play with everything till you get what you want. So we can take this picture up. Oh, the shadow is not in yet. Yeah, I think that's fine. So that is that about that. Now we are going to bring in the flames as well. Where are the flames? I think this is it. This one. So right click, duplicate layer, one there, okay. So this is it here. So you're just going to, we don't want them to be too distracting. You just want it to be there, just a little bit. So we'll make a copy, Ctrl J to make another copy of this. We'll flip it just the same way we flipped the food earlier. Flip horizontal. So we'll just add this here. Can change the direction, rotate it. Just something. I'll make another copy. Put this here. Just to fill up that middle. So I think this is good. Yeah, we don't want it to be too much and distracting. So we'll group everything together, Ctrl G, name it fire. So we have our fire. So let's take the logo up a little bit, probably increase it. It's more visible. So everybody will know who is organizing the event or the party. That's nice. Take our header up a little bit. Yeah, pictures up a little bit. So that is it. This design is almost done. Like it's already looking, sweet. So the next thing we want to do now is to add our dates, details. So people will know, okay, when this event is actually holding. Let me take this down. Yeah. So let's add our date. So come to our text tool here. I'll click here. Add, I think the date was January. So JAN. We can't see anything because the text color is black. So we'll change it to white so we can see what we are doing. This is it. We'll make another copy. 16. Make another copy. The time 3 p.m. So now I want to change the fonts for the January and the time. So my go-to body text font is Montserrat. Like that's my go-to. Any day, anytime. Like I don't even think twice. My go-to sans serif font, Montserrat. If I need to type any body text and all of and Montserrat. So we'll reduce this. I think it's still too big, but let's just keep working on it. So this 16, we'll change it to a condensed font. Now condensed font are fonts that are long and tall, but they're not wide. They're just long. So an example is Bebas. So I don't know, Bebas bold should be. Yeah, this does it. So centralize the three of them to ensure that let's zoom in. So we'll increase the width of the 16 so that it matches the width of the January and the time. So the next thing we are going to do now is to be adding some form of demarcation in between them. So we'll come to our pen tool here. Click on our pen tool. We'll come here. This is the outline and this is the fill. So make sure the fill is empty because we don't want it to have any color inside. We just want the stroke alone. So we'll change the color to the yellow, of the brand color. Then we'll come here where we want the line to begin. Click once. Then we'll go to where we want it to end and we'll hold down shift on our keyboard and we'll click once. If we don't hold down shift, it might not be a straight line. You get so holding down shift ensures that it is a straight line. So if you hold down shift, you can see it's a straight line. So we can increase the thickness, to whatever we want. So let's just say 4. I think 4 is good. 4 is good. So we'll duplicate this below the 16. Drag this here. Drag this here. Move this 3 p.m. down a little bit. So we would align all of them to the center of each other. So we can see center of each other. Let's adjust this. They are too long. Yeah, that is fine. That's fine. I think they are still too thick. Let's reduce it to 3. Yeah, 3 is fine. 3 is fine. So that is it. We have our dates and time. We'll group them, rename it to dates and time. So we'll resize this now to, yeah, I think this is cool. This is cool here. This is cool. We'll probably just move this, here. So it's not interfering. Yeah, so we have our date and time. So that is not okay. We still want to avoid issues of, oh, I did not see the date and the time. We want to draw some form of attention from the heading, this header text here, to the date and time. We want to redirect people's attention. Now, there are multiple ways you can do that. but I'm just going to show you how I did it on this particular design. I saw this here on this template and I was like, okay, this would work. This plain element here, we'll duplicate it to the O1 there. Where is it? Okay, this is it. So we are going to flip it horizontal so that it's facing the date and time. Yeah. Yeah, that's nice. Can rotate it a little bit. So what we're going to do is we are going to recreate this shape, whatever here. So we're going to use our pen tool, select key or P on our keyboard. Then now it's going to be a little different from drawing this straight line. The technique is a little bit different. So we'll select where we want it to start. We want it to start from here. Yeah. Now we want it to curve here because we want to replicate what is on the template. Instead of just clicking once, you are going to click and drag to create a curved line. Now we are not going to hold shift. You are not going to hold shift, just leave it. Click and drag to create a curved line. So I think that is fine. Then we are going to click here where we want it to end, and we'll click and drag as well. And that is that. We've been able to duplicate this. Okay, it's dotted. So to create that dotted line effect, we'll come here and just click here and see it's dotted. Probably change the color to white as well. Yeah. So that is that about that. So I think it's too wide here. We'll just adjust it a little bit by using the anchor point. Yeah. Yeah. And just like that, we've successfully duplicated this here. So now looking at this from the logo of the brand to the header, this arrow would redirect the attentions to the date. You get, so that solves that particular problem. So we'll group this shape and this icon and name it arrow. What else do we need to do? Let's bring this. There's a leaf here. I'm seeing a leaf there. No, not that. Okay, this. I can just put it here. I think just to fill up that space. So I think that's that about that. What's next to do? Okay, there's another thing we need to do. There is going to be some freebies at the party, free palm wine. So that is another very important detail. Free palm wine. So we'll reduce the spacing. As you can see, the spacing in between the words are just weird. So we'll reduce this to auto. Change it to Montserrat's medium. Now we'll make this all caps by clicking on this double T here to make it all capital letter. Control T to reduce the size. Now we still want to reduce the spacing in between them. Let's select 30. 30 is too much. Okay, I think that is fine there. So we'll use this. Now we also want this to, be highlighted somehow. So what we are going to do is we'll create some form of effects. So we are going to download I'm going to download something, a doodle. So we'll just search circular doodle. What did I even spell? What's this? So as you can see, okay, I think this should be fine. I think I like this or this. So let's just go to the website. Yeah, I think this is nice. Yeah. You can download. Is it downloading? Okay. So we are just going to click on this and drag it into, yeah, this is it right here. It's there, but we can't really see it because it's dark. So to do that, we are going to make a selection of that doodle whatever by pressing Ctrl on our keyboard and selecting the thumbnail of the layer. So once you say, you can see it has made a selection, so we don't really need that layer anymore, or the doodle. We'll come here and click on solid color, and we can select the yellow of the brand. Yeah. So why I like to do this instead of using the color overlay function in the layer styles is I can easily change this color when I want, like easily. Just double click on that and I can change it to red. I see, change it to green, change it easily without the stress of having to go into the layer styles and all of that. So we'll just reduce this to fit this. Let's zoom in. So as you can see, we've successfully highlighted the fact that there's going to be free palm wine. Let's group this to free palm wine. Zoom out. So you can see, let's reduce it so it's not competing with the dates. So you can see that the little details matters. Like, just see it without that doodle around it. It's just going to be there floating, and it's not really looking nice. So this doodle just helps to highlight that fact. So I think that is that about this design. Oh, like, that is it. This design is done. Design is done. So for the sake of this video not being too long, I will just drag and drop the other details. Like, I'm not going to create them from scratch. So this is it. So that this video is not unnecessarily long. Yeah. So I'm just going to, this is it. I created a PNG for it. So that is that. So you can just, bring this down. Wind date and time, bring it down. Make the header a little bit bigger. Yeah, and that is that about this design. We are done. This design is done. So yeah, and that brings us to the end of today's video. I hope you're able to learn a thing or two. If you did, kindly let us know in the comment section. And thank you once again for staying this long to the end, because I know, yeah, these videos can be very long sometimes. So thank you for staying to the end. See you some other time. God bless you. Bye.